Good afternoon. This is Roger Erickson with the National Weather Service in Lake Charles with our Hurricane Harvey briefing for 4:30 p.m. Friday, August 25th. Our opening slide here, we're looking at the situational overview. Harvey is a Category 3 hurricane and will make landfall as a major Category 3 hurricane near Rockport on the central Texas coast later on tonight. And then it will slowly weaken. It will be a tropical storm, it'll be a hurricane probably on Saturday, down to a tropical storm by Sunday, and it's going to meander near the central or upper Texas coast through Wednesday. So what that means for us locally, we're expecting a long duration of heavy rain and flooding possible with the storm totals, just like what we had from this morning, 10 to 20 inches of rain across southeast Texas, 8 to 15 inches in southwest Louisiana, 5 to 7 inches in central Louisiana, and 7 to 10 inches in south central Louisiana. Among the things that this will result in is major flooding on several forecast points along the rivers. We're expecting it near Pinon Bayou at Sour Lake, and the Calcasieu River at Old Town Bay, and the West Fork of the Calcasieu River near Sam Houston Jones State Park. In addition to the rainfall, we're expecting storm surge to be an issue as well. 1 to 3 feet of water above ground level for coastal sections of southeast Texas and southwest and south central Louisiana. The timing of this highest surge will be starting up tonight with our high tide this evening through the high tide Sunday morning, especially during the high tide periods throughout that period. Winds will be gusting in the 25 to 35 mile range along the coastal sections of southeast Texas and southern Louisiana tonight through Sunday night. And we now have a tornado watch in effect for parts of southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana until 2 o'clock in the morning tonight. Here's the satellite imagery of what Harvey looks like. It's approaching the Texas coast. It's got a very nice eye wall associated with it. Here's the radar depiction of it from the Weather Service radars down in the Corpus area, Houston, and our radar. So you can see that it's actually still moving rather quickly, which is good news in a lot of ways because we were expecting it to slow down by now. If this thing keeps going fast, that means it's probably going to go further inland, which means that it may minimize the impacts or the idea of this thing coming back in the Gulf later on next week. So with what we're looking at here, we're expecting Harvey to keep moving inland later on tonight. We have these outer rain bands along the upper Texas coast. You can see there's one in our area south of Sabine Pass, Cameron area, out in the Gulf of Mexico, and another one that's over land in our eastern area from Lafayette down to Morgan City. This is the forecast track for the next 5 days. It's kind of a funny graphic to actually look at, considering the fact that all the forecast points are clustered rather closely together here over the next 5 days. So you can see the furthest inland point for 1 a.m. Sunday of the tropical storm before it makes a slow shift back towards the coast. You look at the last forecast point on there by 1 p.m. Wednesday, and it's still southwest of Houston. So they've slowed it down compared to what the scenario was that they showed earlier today, where they had it up into the our southeast Texas area by Wednesday. Now they have it backing off southwest of Houston by Wednesday. So it's a slower part of the forecast in the extended period. What that really means, maybe not so much here in Lake Charles, but for Boma area, down into the Houston, Corpus area, a very deadly flash flood scenario setting up across parts of Texas. Here's the rain totals expected for the next 3 days. Between 7 o'clock tonight and 7 p.m. Monday, you can see a 20-inch bullseye over southwest side of Houston, 15-inch bullseye that extends across the Houston Metroplex, 10-inch bullseye extends all the way into Jefferson County, 7-inch bullseye comes across Hardin County, all of the remainder of Jefferson County and parts of Orange County. The 5-inch contour goes across southern Tyler, central Jasper, Newton counties, across Calcasieu Parish, southern Jeff Davis Parish, and into western sections of Vermilion Parish. 4-inch contour goes a little bit further north. You look at the very top of the picture here, Alexandria, for the weekend, we're looking at about 1-inch rainfall up there. Lafayette between 3 and 4 inches, and Morgan City between 3 and 4 inches. This is what it looks like for 7 p.m. Monday through 7 p.m. Wednesday, when the system will be slowly working its way up the coast a little bit. Still a big bullseye down there in the Houston-Galveston area of 10 inches. The 7-inch contour comes in Jefferson County, but 5 inches is the predominant number across Harvey County, Jefferson, sections of Orange, down into Cameron and Vermilion parishes. The 4-inch contour across the remainder of southeast Texas, southwest Louisiana, a good chunk of south central Louisiana as well. Further north in central Louisiana, we're looking at a 2 to 3 inch rain for that 48-hour window. And then finally, by the 7 p.m. Wednesday through 7 p.m. Friday time frame, you can see the bullseye of rain is actually moving up to our northwest. Actually, it's north of Lufkin, the 5-inch bullseye. So the 4-inch barely comes into Tyler County, 3 inches across our East Texas region. Southeast Texas is more like 2 to 3 inches. Southwest Louisiana between 1.5 to 3 inches, and south central Louisiana between 1 and 2 inches. So we should be tapering off by that stage of the game with the current scenario that we're forecasting now. So this is a little bit better of an improvement for middle part of next week than what we were showing earlier. Due to the fact that we're now forecasting this system to stay inland, it's probably going to stay very weak, and the rainfall bullseyes are going to probably stay over in Texas. That could change tomorrow. We'll be doing this conference call again tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning to provide any updates to it. This graphic we showed earlier showing the risk for the river flooding. The pinks on here are the major flood scenarios for the Sour Lake region, the Pine Island Bayou, the Calcasieu River forecast points. You can see the reds are the moderate floods across the different areas as well. Here's the newest graphics related to the storm surge inundation. Basically, we're still advertising the 1 to 3 feet of water above ground level. On the graphics here, the orange is over 3 feet, the yellow is 1 to 2 feet. So you can see we're looking at down in Sabine Pass, anywhere from 1 up to 3 feet down there. And then the water backing up the various bayous across the middle part of the county, Taylor's Bayou as well as Hildebrandt Bayou. That's the spots that we're looking at in Jefferson County. And in Orange County, there may be a little bit of backwater flooding in sections of Bridge City, as well as perhaps a little bit along the immediate river around the Orange area. The timing of this will be now through Sunday morning. We are approaching a high tide tonight at 6:53 p.m., and then the high tide tomorrow morning will be at 6:38 a.m. Further to the east and southwest Louisiana, this is the Cameron and Calcasieu map. We're looking at same thing. We're looking at a 1 to 3 foot storm surge. You can see the higher values of 3 feet around the Holly Beach area, some near the Rutherford Beach as well. Otherwise, that's what we're looking at across the map there. The same spots that we mentioned earlier: Holly Beach, downtown Cameron, Hackberry near Kelso Bayou, Creole, Rutherford Beach, Grand Chenier near Mermentau River. And then further up in the Calcasieu, we're talking about Deatonville area, the I-10 beach area near the downtown Lake Charles region. So the timing of the tides there, 6:23 p.m. is the high tide this evening. Tomorrow morning, it's at 6:25 a.m. Further to the east, we've bumped the numbers up a little bit here. Before we were saying 1 to 2, now we're saying 1 to 3. You can see that we're showing a 3-foot contour around the intercoastal city area. The timing of these tides, 5:49 p.m. this afternoon, and then 5:55 a.m. tomorrow morning. The focus areas being the lower sections of Vermilion Parish, Pecan Island, Forked Island, Intercoastal City. Delcom always has problems with the water backing up from the canal over at the Port of Iberia, Sycamore Point, and Burns Point over in St. Mary Parish. This graphic is the same one from earlier, showing you the long duration of the wind fetch across the coastal waters. Winds blowing generally out of the east-southeast at 20 to 35 knots, with gusts upwards of the 45 knot range in the coastal waters. What that means for people along the immediate coast is we're expecting easterly flow with winds gusting in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range. It'll probably be a situation where we could see some isolated power outages in those areas. These are tornado graphics. A little update here on the left. That's the tornado watch outline that we have that's in effect until 2 a.m. It extends from down near the Corpus area all the way up to Texas coast, and it does include Jefferson County in southeast Texas and Cameron and Vermilion Parish in southwest Louisiana. So that's the focus area for this evening and where we're monitoring for potential tornadoes in these rain bands as they move on shore. For tomorrow, the graphic shows the region being more likely in southeast Texas and southwest Louisiana, the I-10 corridor southward. So in summary, we're looking at a Category 3 hurricane making landfall later on tonight, somewhere on the central Texas coast, give or take around Rockport. and then it will weaken to a tropical storm by Sunday and meander near the central or upper Texas coast through Wednesday. What that means for us locally is a lot of rain, 10 to 20 inches of rain in southeast Texas, 8 to 15 inches southwest Louisiana, central Louisiana 5 to 7, south central Louisiana 7 to 10, with major flooding on several forecast points, moderate flooding elsewhere. The storm surge will be 1 to 3 feet across the area, and the timeline for that will be during high tides tonight, tomorrow morning, and continuing at the high tides for Saturday night and Sunday morning as well. We'll look at reinvestigate it to see if we need to extend it beyond that time frame later on. The winds will be gusting in the 25 to 35 mile an hour range along the coast tonight through Sunday night, and we have that tornado watch in effect until 2 a.m. tonight for Jefferson County as well as Cameron and Vermilion Parish. So that's it from here at the National Air Resource Lake Charles. Our next briefing will be Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. Mark that down on your calendars. We'll give you the update then. We'll have a better feel, hopefully, for whether or not this system will come back out in the Gulf. By 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, this should be moving inland. So we'll see where it's at, and we'll see what the computer models give us tomorrow for the scenario of it moving after that into next week. So does anyone have any other questions for us?
Okay, another essentially the same weather forecast. Is that right, Andy? I'm going to let Andy talk about the weather.
Pretty much the same forecast. Well, likely one of the only really, I would say, major update is actually the tornado threat for Southwest Louisiana, especially during the day tomorrow. The heavy rain threat throughout the week. We're just going to have to stay on top of this, and as Roger mentioned, we're going to be having 2 weather briefings, likely both Saturday and Sunday. So one other thing to note is we are also holding a couple of Facebook Live sessions. We're still trying to get the time down. We're going to probably have one sometime around 6:30, 7 o'clock, and another one actually later, much later. We're going to have one probably around 10:15 as well. So we'll probably have more updates on that. Donald Jones will be leading the briefing on that. So now one last thing too, keep in mind as far as what's going to happen next week, there's still a lot of uncertainty. The models have been going back and forth as far as whether they're going to take this low further east or keep it back in Texas. So once we see it come inland and basically see how the models handle it once it moves, say, 20, 30 miles inland, we may have a little bit better handle on what's going to happen then. I'll bet you the models will come together a lot better, and that will likely be probably sometime late in the weekend. Are there any questions?
Okay, thanks, Andy. Anyone have any operational issues, questions? Couple of operational things I want to mention. Commander Koss with the Coast Guard, have y'all finalized your plans on the river move or the ship channel movement? We're going to get you a mic.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So currently we are at port condition X-ray on the Calcasieu River. What that means is that we're monitoring the storm condition, but we have not closed the river to commercial traffic. So we're coordinating with the pilots and the various facilities to move traffic. We still have a couple of ships that are sailing outbound, and it's still possible that we may have a ship or two either sail outbound or come inbound tomorrow, but we're working with the pilots. When that sea state gets too rough offshore to bring a pilot boat, that's kind of when we will secure the river. But as it stands right now, there is still a few commercial ships moving.
Okay, thank you, Commander. And when you in your world, when you say river, what you really mean is the ship channel.
Right. When I say river, we're talking about the Calcasieu River ship channel, ships that are over 500 gross tons, commercial barges that are moving petroleum products, grain products that are moving along the ICW in and out of the facilities. That is all still running, and so that's typically what we're thinking about as far as the management of commercial traffic.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Commander Cost? We appreciate you being here for that update. In addition to that, in consultation with the sheriff and the Coast Guard earlier today, we'll be issuing an executive order closing the Calcasieu River from I-10 bridge north to recreational traffic. As Commander Koss pointed out, does not include commercial traffic, so you may still see some movement of towboats or whatever north of that area, but we'll be putting this into effect, and that is in reaction to the weather forecast where the Calcasieu River is forecast to go to major flood stage probably over the weekend. We have a lot of houses and camps and other property out there that needs protection, and the sheriff's office will be out patrolling the waterways over the next few days. Any questions on that? President Guidry will be signing that executive order shortly. It will go into effect at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. 10:30 in the morning.